going on, guys? Robert Garcia back here on the Lockdown Defense Sports Network. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the top free agent that the Chargers absolutely cannot afford to lose, as well as going over the top 5 positional needs going into the offseason and giving my opinions, or my hopes, I should say, on who the Chargers will go after for each of those positions. But kicking things off, we're going to be talking about, in my opinion, the top free agent that the Chargers can absolutely not afford to lose, and by all means need to re-sign 1,000%. And it was tough to pick from a lot of guys that were on kind of one-year prove-it deals, a lot of guys that were also, Khalil Mack, Elijah Molden, J.K. Dobbins. But ultimately, I came around to somebody that was very kind of overlooked on this defense by media. Obviously, Chargers fans didn't overlook him because we know this roster top to bottom, but it's Poona Ford, and I know not a huge surprise for many, but Poona Ford was an absolute stud for us this year at D tackle. Played in all 18 games. I'm not a huge fan of PFF, but for what it's worth, he was the 5th highest graded defensive tackle. Huge plug up the middle, usually taking up about 2 lanes in the run game. That's his specialty. 9 tackles for loss. And obviously fans will remember his stellar debut with us when he picked off Gardner Minshew from the Khalil Mack deflection. And obviously that was a hilariously fun and awesome moment. A sign of great things to come. Obviously not in terms of the interceptions, but for what he did just as a player as a whole. Now, I do see, I think the Chargers would offer him something around like a 2-year, $8 to $10 million per year contract. I don't know how much attention he's going to garner on the open market. I think everywhere I've been reading, the Chargers are projected to just re-sign him, although the contracts have been very low for kind of the talent he provides. I think I even saw somewhere around the 1 year, $3.5 million type deal, which I don't know if he would take that, but I guess if he would, if he accepted, please. I mean, 3.5 sounds way better than 8 to 10, but I don't know. I thought he was a very well-deserving player on this team to get paid. So I guess we'll just see if other teams feel the same way. But looking into now the top 5 positional need, I will start us at number 5, and in my opinion, it is cornerback 1. I loved Hart and Still. They played as well as they did for rookies. Hart obviously had a little bit of injury concerns. Still, mostly a slot corner. I think that's going to be his primary role in this defense, in this Minter defense. So I think we still are in need of that cornerback 1, that lockdown, take a team's best wide receiver every game type corner. Now those, you really can only find them in the draft, because once they're discovered in the league, teams really don't let them go. I think it's kind of rare you see top flight corners like that kind of just let go in the open market. They're usually traded a la Jalen Ramsey. But in my opinion, or my hopeful signing, I want us to sign Charvarius Ward. Now, that's probably wishful thinking, and it's probably going to cost us a pretty penny. But, we can dream. He had a down year this past year. It gives us maybe a little bit of hope in terms of helping us with a contract negotiation. But the entire Niners roster was hurt, that defense especially. I think he bounces back if he were to sign with us in a big way. He played at an extremely high level in 2023 and 2024. Obviously, went to the Super Bowl last year with the Niners, all-pro season last year, and back-to-back Pro Bowl seasons as well. So I think he would be a solid signing, would absolutely start right away, fill into that slot nicely. And he's still pretty young. I think he's like 26 or 27, something like that. So yeah, definitely some great value there. Looking at number 4, I'm going running back. And this is obviously assuming that Dobbins is leaving. Now, my hopeful signing is that we just re-sign him, because I would love to see him back with the Chargers. All things point to us re-signing him. I think he wants to stay here. I think we want to bring him back. Obviously, he had that injury kind of late into the year. That really derailed things for him. But either way, he finished with over 1,000 scrimmage yards. given his injury history and what he had to go through to even get on the field this year. It was a special year for him. So I really do hope we re-sign him. Got robbed of comeback player of the year, in my opinion. I don't know how you can win comeback player of the year twice. Not much of a comeback, in my opinion, the second time, but whatever. That's just me. Either way, we'll get into number 3 now. Getting off on a tangent there a little bit. Getting off. Pause. Going into number 3, it is going to be defensive end. Now, this is presuming we let go of Bosa. I mean, regardless, I don't think he should even be on this roster next year. But even if he is somehow still here, we need to address the D end. Mac is way up there in age. I think we re-sign him and cut Bosa, but I don't know what the Chargers feel like they want to do. Either way, we need to get younger at that position. Thule had some flashes there. Tuli Peloto had some flashes there for a minute. And then he kind of cooled off and fell off a little bit. So I definitely want to bring in somebody like Josh Sweat. Obviously, Myles Garrett is probably going to go to, a contender. Now, Chargers fans can argue, well, we can be contenders next year all we want, but it is what it is. He's going to want to go to one of those top flight teams, Lions, Eagles, please not the damn Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, those kind of teams. So, yeah, I think Josh Sweat is a realistic piece we can go after. Obviously, I don't think the Eagles are going to re-sign him. He's going to probably cost a little bit, but as I already mentioned, they're going after bigger fish. Going into number 2 now, it is any kind of weapon, wide receiver, tight end, a pass catcher. We need somebody else for Herbert. Disley is not a tight end 1. He was never meant to be, and he was forced to be because that's just how lacking we were on the weapons aspect. Ladd is obviously Ladd. Darius Davis, I love as a wide receiver 3. Quentin Johnston, I would be fine keeping him as like a wide receiver 4 and designing, maybe third downs or not third downs, but certain down plays. We design plays for him, but he should not be an every down type wide receiver. That is not who he is. Fortunately, he was drafted in a position to where we thought he would be, but he is just not that. We had some promising signs in that last Raiders game of the year, but turned right around and just goose egged it in the postseason. So you can't trust him. And if you can't trust him, you can't put him in the top 3 of your wide receiver depth chart, at least. Hopeful signing here is obviously T. Higgins. I think everybody in the football world who needs a wide receiver is going to want to sign T. Higgins. Is it realistic? Kinda, but probably not, because Harbaugh and Ortiz have shown that they are not going to really spend big money on those kinds of positions. They're going to spend big money in the trenches, and they're going to spend big money on the defense. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't address the wide receiver position at all, but I just don't think it'll be at the T. Higgins type aspect level of it. And now getting into the absolute biggest position of need for the Chargers going into the offseason. To the surprise of nobody, it's interior offensive line. More so center than guard, but I feel like we're going to go after center in the draft. Ryan Kelly is really the only center in this free agent class of centers that I would want us to get. Bozeman was not it. We appreciate you for defending Herbert on the Saints game, but that does not excuse your poor play the rest of the season. The Zion experiment, we tried it. It's over. Get him out of here. And to replace him, I want Trey Smith. Now, again, is this realistic? Now, this one probably is, because I think Harbaugh and Ortiz would spend big money on a guard or, like I said, somebody in the trenches. But is he going to take a discount to re-sign with the Chiefs? Is somebody else going to bid higher for him? He is going to be a high commodity, probably the most sought-after guard in this year's free agent class of guards. But I think it's a good possibility, maybe not a good possibility, but there is a strong possibility, I'll say, that the Chargers go after and give him the bag, and rightfully so. He deserves it. But that's going to be it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave your comments below on what you think the Chargers' biggest positional needs are, as well as their biggest free agent they can't afford to lose. Have a good night, everyone, and I will see you in the next one.